Listen close, steal and rattle. Knock you out, no doubt now. No doubt. She's a queen. She's a queen. She's a queen.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Schmucker Podcast. We have tonight with us a special guest, Slammin Sammy. She's a pro-am wrestler that does a unique set of wrestling and has a great training aspect to it. And we're going to interview her tonight and see what she's all about and what she has to offer the wrestling community. Welcome, Sammy. Thank you for being here.
Hey, well, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Tell me a little bit about your career and, how you got started and where you started at.
So how I got involved into wrestling is actually a wild story, but I guess to each his own. But anyway, so it all started about, and this was again like before I can even walk. I was like 3 years old. It was actually my own father who got me into it. So like when I was like 3 years old, he would play pretend, wrestling with me, choke slam me on the couch, all that. Yeah. All that sorts of things. And he was into it long before me. He actually saw Mankind in Undertaker in Pittsburgh, so
right on. I've worked with Mankind, Mick Foley.
Oh, nice. But yeah, that's where you all right? All right. Anyway, but yeah, that's where it all started, and then I just kept watching it and just like kept growing along with it, and I did other things too while growing up before I could eventually start wrestling. But wrestling was the number one thing, that I wanted to do with my life. And my dad was honestly very, very happy with that because he's the other wrestling head of the family. So
sounds like my mom. She got me in it when I was like 4 years old, back when Dick the Bruiser and Bobo Brazil's kid, Calypso Jim back then, now Bobo Brazil Jr., was wrestling. I got to hang out and kick it with him when I was like 4 up to like I was 10, and then lost contact. And a couple years ago, I got back in touch with him, and I've worked a couple shows with him since.
Awesome.
So all these back to your parents. Some way, somehow, if your parents has got you involved in it.
Yeah, always that. And I decided at a very young age too that I was going to do it. I was like 6 or 7. I believe when I spewed that out there, my mother was all right with it, and my dad was just because of course that's yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. If you ever knew my dad, that's his whole personality. So, but from that moment on, and I had wonderful wrestlers that I looked up to, mainly a bunch of dudes.
That's usually how it was back then when we were growing up. It was all dudes. I mean, the women are just now starting to take over in wrestling, and it's a good thing to see because it gives them an opportunity to do things that people don't really tend to gravitate to in wrestling, but it's catching on, and it's a good thing. Yeah,
right. So the guys who I mainly looked up to while growing up, I looked up to the Shield. That was like my first big wrestling thing to me.
So you like Dean Ambrose and Seth and all them?
Yes, and then
I worked with Dean. When was that? We have Squared Circle here, so Dean was here, but he was under a different name. It wasn't Dean Ambrose. It was Moxley when he was here, and I think his wife was with him too, Renee. So I got to work with her too. She was one of them announcers on WWE.
Yeah, well, awesome. Then over time, my favorite wrestler after they all eventually broke up became Seth Rollins, and then from that moment on, I guess, like, and I did a bunch of other I did other things too, like before my career started. Like I did martial arts for 7 years.
What kind of martial arts?
I did Shotokan karate for 7 years.
Ooh, that sounds like some complication karate, like that special art that you just don't get to learn very often.
Well, I don't think there's too many Shotokan dojos out there. I think now it's mainly just like Taekwondo and all that other type of thing.
Yeah, that version that you're talking about right there, that they use a lot of more defense than they use the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something you don't find too much anymore.
They do. So, but yeah, have done 7 years of that and like 2.5 years of jiu-jitsu too. So
that's impressive right there.
Thank you. That was always a feather in my cap, and how I found out, like, because I didn't figure out who I was, like Slammin' Sammy wasn't just something I thought of atop of my head. I actually got the name whenever I was in martial arts, because for me I got it because of my my brutality, because I'm just hitting people.
You pulling the Ronda Rousey move. You just get in there and start slamming the town, huh?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what you're supposed to do. Get in there, handle business, and get out.
Yeah. I'm more aggressive than most, so. But I got the name Slammin' Sammy because of my fighting style and my brutality, so.
That's cool. That's cool right there. I like that.
But yeah, and it wasn't me who gave the name. It was my own instructor at the time who actually gave me that name as he saw I was getting better and better in fighting and getting more aggressive and stuff. And then after the whole 7 years of martial arts and all that stuff, I began training at when I was 15 years old, so for wrestling. So yeah, that's.
And how old are you now?
19. So
that's what I'm talking about. So you're getting up there.
Yeah, they wouldn't down at where I trained. Like, they made an exception for me coming in at 15, because not everybody comes in at that age, I think, especially around here. So it's a very nice thing to have, and I'm grateful that they let me start at 15. So, but yeah, I trained for about 2 years, and then last year I started my wrestling journey, and now I'm out here just trying to tear up the towns.
Yeah, we have a 13-year-old here that's pretty much the youngest in Indiana that I've seen on the circuits. She's 15 now, but she started at 13, and she just won her first championship a couple months ago.
Oh.
And but she lost it the same night, so it was like give her a shot for some glory for about 5 minutes, and then somebody cashed in some sort of thing that this company has. The other girl cashed it in and suckered her and got the pin, and so she got to have it for a second. She's up for it this weekend. She's coming, or here in a couple weeks she'll be here again and doing wrestling a three women tag team for it.
Yeah, awesome. Seems like Money in the Bank stipulation.
Kinda, yeah.
Oh my.
So, have you won any championships or had an opportunity for any?
No, I have not won any belts as of late, but hopefully in the future I'll collect some. So.
Well, I keep following you, and I'll make sure that as we progress with my productions, that everybody would continue to see it, because I usually repost my interviews and then I try to relink them again after a little time just to refresh everybody that may
Right.
be new. So I'll share your page and I will share everything through all my links that I have in groups, and I will share this too. Um, is there anything else you'd like to talk about with your career or what you got planned for the future?
Well, my dream. I feel like it's everyone's dream, but my dream for me would be to get signed somewhere. Like anywhere, WWE, TNA, AEW, the whole. Whoever comes calling for an opportunity, basically. So
There's where are you located again? Pennsylvania, correct?
yeah, Pennsylvania, in Dunbar. So
There's I have some friends that are in, I believe they're in Connecticut, and I just did their podcast right before yours.
oh
They have Outcast Revolution Wrestling, or OVW, I think it's
yeah,
something like that. And they're always taking on new people to give them shots. I will share your information with them, and then I have a bunch of others throughout down into Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, all over Indiana, and a few in Ohio that I'll share it with, that I know the promoters and people like that, to try to get you some more exposure, because you know you're young and that's what they want, is to have someone that can grow with them, or at
right,
least grow and move on to something bigger with the knowledge that you've learned. They love that. So
yeah.
I'll connect you with some people and send you a few links to reach out to.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. um like with what I do and why I like to interview is, um I started doing the filmmaking and figured, after doing security for musicians and working some wrestling shows, I was like, these are a lot of independent wrestlers and independent filmmakers and local indie bands, just trying to make a name for themselves and get some exposure.
Right.
And after a while, I was like, I did a film and I did a short, and I got asked to do an interview one time, so I did a podcast, and I was like, podcast ain't that hard to do. And I was already thinking about making my own movie because I couldn't find anything to get into, and I says, I'm gonna do a movie. My wife's and said, what are you gonna do? We ended up doing Jason in Indianapolis, and then I pushed forward. I said, let's do a podcast. So I started doing a podcast, and I've got 12 episodes now, and everybody that I'm interviewing, I've had a chance to do one person that's been with something real huge and major, and that was the lead singer of Saving Abel. And
Right.
I haven't had a chance to interview some, high class actors or celebrities yet, but I can. I have a bunch on standby to talk to. And that's why I wanted you on here, is because doing what you're doing and trying, to move from where you're at into the big stage and the big spotlight, and get there and showcase your abilities, it takes an army
Of
to
course.
get there.
Yeah.
And without without the fan base and without people saying, hey, check this out, and then sharing it and somebody else sharing it, it takes one share,
Right.
and you move forward.
Right. Of
And
course.
I'm gonna, I've been helping Shelby out, the girl that's here. I did her photos for her. So, I'm willing to, I'm going to push you forward with this, and I'm going to share everything I can, because you deserve to get out there and showcase. Because what I've seen and what I've read so far, it's worthwhile to get out there and get in front of a bigger audience, to get more followers and a fan base going, because that's your dream. That's what you deserve.
Yes.
And you said the best place for everybody to reach you is where?
The best place that people can find me can be on on Facebook, you can just contact me at Slammin Sammy. That's basically just the name of it. And then Instagram, you can go with at Slammin Sammy Official, and at TikTok, if anybody has it nowadays, or I don't know, Slammin Sammy 101. That one's kind of riggy, so
I'll look it up on my TikTok, and if I find it, I'll copy the links for everything, put it at the end of our video, and share everything with everybody. I try to reach out throughout the year to see how things are going, and try to revisit in a year. So I want you to be successful. I'm going to try to help share and get more people to view you and follow you. And in about a year, I'll reach out to you and hopefully maybe do another interview and catch up with you and see what you've been up to, if that's all right with you.
Yes, of course.
I appreciate it, and give much love to your parents, because they followed me one day and I reached out to them and I thought it was you, and it was like, no, I'm her mom. I was like, hey, you should be a proud parent. She's phenomenal. And he was like, yeah, I'm proud of her. So, you got some great parents, and tell them I said thank you for sharing you with the world, doing your art, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Well, thank you, and I'll let them know.
Right on. Thank you, hon. You have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. At the end of the video, I'll post links that you can copy and check out Slammin Sammy. There's going to be her Facebook, her Instagram, and her TikTok. Please follow her and check her out and give her a shout out. She'll respond as she can. She's a busy girl and she needs to do her thing, but she'll try to reach out if she can. Again, I thank everybody for watching, and have a great night.
All right.
She taking names, dotted up to claim a crown. Fierce, fierce, fierce. Every round she'll fight and bleed. In her eyes she'll see the need. No time she'll give her all. Need her all. Watch them fall. She's taking names, don't let them hold her down. She's taking